I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Oak Ridge Board of Education. Would you please join me as we honor America? The Wildcat Company presents our colors, and then we'll lead you into the pledge of the flag. If you'd please stand. Attention, salute, pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Every out, 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 out. Thank you, and you may be seated. Obviously, it's a little barren up here tonight, but we do have a quorum, so we can conduct business. Two of our board members are dealing with some personal issues that they had to take care of, so they'll be back with us next time, we hope. So we'll move on. The next item, or the next on the agenda, is the approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion? This could get kind of, let's kind of alternate back and forth. Motion made by Ms. Webb, seconded by Dr. Hartman. Any additions or corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, please cast your vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next, we'll move to special reports and presentations. We'll start with our good news, and Dr. Hartman will lead us off.
All right, so tonight I have the good fortune to report for Linden Elementary and Robertsville Middle School. We'll start with Linden. We'd like to congratulate Brady Saltzman, a fourth grade student, for qualifying for the Regional Geography B. He utilized his own time to study and test into the program. Way to go, Brady. Linden Elementary is excited to announce they've been nominated for the 2023 National Blue Ribbon Schools program. This could not have happened without the hard work of the staff and students and is truly an honor. So congratulations, Linden. At Robertsville Middle School, congratulations to 7th grader Quentin Delmau, the 2023 RMS Spelling Bee champion. Quentin won in the 11th round and retains his title from last year. RMS TSA students did an amazing job at the 2023 TSA Regional Championship. The students placed either first or second or third in every event that they entered, and it's a testament to their hard work and dedication. Congratulations there. Lastly, 2 RMS students had their entries accepted into the annual Dogwood Arts Synergy Student Art Exhibition. This is a juried show where teachers are allowed to enter 2 pieces and the judges decide which will be accepted into the exhibition. The 2 students are a 5th grader for the piece Self-Portrait Time Machine and a 7th grader for a drawing Study of Hands. A closing reception and awards ceremony will be held at the Clayton Center for the Art on Thursday, March 23rd from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m.
Ms. Webb.
Okay, on the other end of town, we have Jefferson Middle School. The pronouncer and judges of the JMS Spelling Bee indicated that it was obvious many students studied this year. There was a great showing that went 20 rounds. Congratulations to our winners. 8th grader Hallie Campbell placed third. Duncan Rowden, also an 8th grader, placed second, while Ian Smith, a 6th grader, took home first place. Ian also qualified for the Tennessee Titans Regional Spelling Bee by taking a test. Last week, we learned he finished in the top 50 and is qualified to compete in the final Spelling Bee on Saturday, March the 4th at Cox Auditorium at UT Knoxville. Way to be! Congratulations to the Jefferson Middle School's first LEGO League teams. They competed during the East Tennessee State Championship at the beginning of the month and represented JMS very well. The Atomic Eagles won the second place Robot Design Award. This award goes to the team that uses outstanding programming principles and solid engineering practices to develop robots that are mechanically sound, durable, efficient, and highly capable of performing challenge missions. The Radioactive Bricks won the first place Core Values Award. The JMS team earned this award for displaying extraordinary enthusiasm and spirit, showing they can accomplish more together as a team, and always showing each other and other teams respect. The JMS Master Builders won the third place championship award. This award celebrates team that embodies the first LEGO League Challenge experience by fully embracing core values, achieving excellence and innovation in robot performance, robot design, and the innovation project. With this award, they've earned a spot at either the Razorback International or Invitational in Arkansas or the WPI annual FLL event, also known as the Waffle in Worcester, Massachusetts. And that's at Jefferson Middle School.
Great. Dr. Borchers?
Yes, it's my pleasure to introduce Miss Gallagher Smith, our new communications specialist. Molly, give a wave. So there, thank you. It was her first day today, and I'm going to read just a little bit from her bio this morning. She joins Oak Ridge Schools with more than 14 years of experience in communications and marketing, including the last 5 in public education. And prior to joining Oak Ridge, she most recently served as Digital Marketing and Communication Manager at Education Service Center, Region 12 in Waco, Texas, and oversaw the marketing and communications for all ESC business in support of 78 public school districts in Central Texas. She's got a bachelor's degree in journalism from Boston University and a master's of business administration and marketing concentration from LaSalle University. We're very excited to have Ms. Gallagher Smith with us, and just help me give her a nice warm welcome.
My good news comes in person, so at this time, to get us started with that, I'd like to recognize Coach Alan Etheridge, Assistant Athletic Director at Oak Ridge High School, and we'll go from there. And guest.
Hi, everybody. I'm Alan Etheridge. I'm the Assistant AD and Sports Information Director at the high school. And so one of the big tasks that I do is publicize athletic stuff, athletic events and coverage and things like that. And so I run the Instagram and Facebook and Twitter pages for Oak Ridge High School Athletics. And I could not possibly do this without this group that you're about to see here. I want to point out, since he's still seated, Mr. Joey Mosley, who's an art teacher at Oak Ridge High School, and he's the primary sponsor of Oak Ridge High School sports media, without whom none of this happens. Absolutely, Mr. Mosley is the man. So I'm going to introduce you to our editor, Adler Keene, and he's going to tell you what we do.
Thank you, Coach Etheridge. As you said, I'm Adler Keene. I'm a senior at Oak Ridge High School, and I'm going to tell you guys about OHS Sports Media. But first, I'm going to introduce some of our members. Addie Fuller behind me, she's a freshman. She's going to be taking over as chief editor of Sports Media Club next year. She's an awesome person. She joined this year, and she has a really, really gifted art for photography, so I'm glad she's going to be taking over. Next is Dayanara Ayala. She's our assistant chief editor. She does a lot of the graphics and a lot of the artsy side of things, because that's not me. Next is Ben George. He's a member, and he does a lot of our photography for like basketball games and football games. And next to him is Jaden Davis. He's our member at large, so whenever me and Daya are at each other's throats about what font to use, he's the one that's breaking that tie for us. So I'm going to talk about OHS Sports Media. So we strive to provide coverage to all sports teams, even those who have never had coverage in the past. This school year alone, Sports Media has photographed every home sporting event. Our amazing members also take time out of their busy lives as students and photograph away games. Now, this not only includes those close around us, like Clinton, Carnes, Hardin Valley, but even those like Powell, South Doyle, and even as far as Campbell County. So it's really amazing that they take the time out of their day and their money to drive up there and take those photos. And as you can see, our members are not only limited to photography. On the screen, you can see all the amazing graphics that we create. We even do some videography, and we organize Media Day for teams. Since the early days of RHS Sports Media, we have had an overwhelming amount of support from players, parents, coaches, and many more. Here's an example. Coach Etheridge started the RHS Athletics Instagram account around September or October of 2021, just a couple months before the start of sports media. As of 30 minutes ago, the RHS Sports Athletics Instagram account has 1,343 followers, which is in large part due to RHS Sports Media. Moreover, I've had parents come up to me at games saying thank you and expressing so much gratitude because they get to see pictures of their children. This is especially prevalent at JV games and for sports teams that don't get very much coverage because parents now have pictures of their kids that they would have never had or would have had to have paid to have them taken. In reality, though, we don't do it only for the parents. We do it for the betterment of RHS and the surrounding community. As a result of RHS Sports Media, the relationships between the athletic teams and students, faculty, and members of the community has grown tremendously. Within a second, anyone can pull out their phone, go online, and know the score of the game and have a full gallery of images to look at. But what's most impressive to me is that RHS Sports Media is student-run. As Mr. Mosley likes to say, this is y'all's club, and me and Etheridge are y'all's lawyers, so that way this doesn't go burning into the ground. But with that, I don't want to discredit them, though. They do a bunch of stuff for us, and we are extremely grateful for helping us start this club. Thank you.
Don't go away. You may have some questions. One of the things that's impressive as I listen to you and watch these slides that are coming across is the effort that has been made to cover everything. And that's very important that you do that. So that's very, very positive. So what did we do before this?
Well, before this, we had some freelance photographers that would shoot. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the names, but Barry Houchin and Luther Simmons. They are some photographers that I've seen on the regular basis at like basketball games and football games, and actually become really good friends with them, and they're very nice and give us tips and pointers. But before that, like how it got started with me is Mr. Mosley would say, hey, I need some photographers for a basketball game. And occasionally kids would raise their hand and shoot, and that's how I really got interested into it. I was never a photographer. Actually, and were any of y'all photographers before we joined sports media? No. Had any clue how to use a camera? No. So we take these kids who are interested in this stuff, say, hey, I wanna, shoot a basketball game and just give it a shot. And Mr. Mosley, and he trains us up from the ground up, not knowing how to turn on the camera to being able to take amazing athletics shots that are really hard to get, because when you see a 250-pound running back coming at you down the football field, it gets a little scary. So, he does a really great job of training us, and now some of our older members and more advanced people with the cameras now train other members as they come along. And so that's kind of an example of how it's student-led.
Great. Well, I think it would be very important that you all cement a relationship with Ms. Gallagher Smith to coordinate and help and do whatever to make this even better than it is. And you all are doing an outstanding job. One of the things that you said that is important, parents love to have pictures of their student athletes doing whatever it is that they do. And providing that, I know goes a long way. And what you all do is great. Coach Etheridge and Mr. Mosley, thank you all for giving these students this opportunity to do this. And thank you all for being here tonight and sharing this with us. We're very proud of you.
Thank you.
Maybe you could get some pictures of the board members in action sometimes. That probably, people probably really want to highlight that. That's a great picture there. Yeah. All right, great. Okay, next we move to the public forum. Public forum is for anyone who would like to address a topic that is not on the agenda. You may address that topic that is on the agenda when it is presented. Please raise your hand to be recognized. If you choose to address the board, you will have 3 minutes to speak. The board may or may not respond to your comments or may have the superintendent address your concerns. When you speak, please come to the podium, sign in, and then state your name and address for the board. Is there anyone who would like to address the board at this time? Seeing no one, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion? Motion made by Dr. Hartman, seconded by Ms. Webb. Please cast your vote. Motion passes unanimously. Moving next to items for action. Item A is a resolution in support of the addition of the Scarborough 85 history inclusion in the current revision of the Tennessee Social Studies Standards. Dr. Borchers.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of the resolution in support of the addition of the Scarborough 85 history inclusion in the current revision of the Tennessee Social Studies Standards.
Heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I hear a motion? Motion made by Ms. Webb, seconded by Dr. Hartman. Dr. Borchers.
Yeah, as part of this attachment, you can see Ms. Weaver, who contacted us here today, gave us a resolution to look at and consider to approve. And I'm going to ask Dr. Williams just to give a brief summary of where this is at the State Department.
So today, the second round of public feedback opened on the State Board of Education website, and that will be open through March 23rd or 26th, through the end of March. And it's the opportunity for the public to provide feedback or their input on the proposed standards. Our social studies standards have been through a long timeline of revision. So when this window closes, the Standards Recommendation Committee in August will recommend to the state legislator and to the state board for final approval. I want to add that in the current revision of the state standards that are posted, for which they want public feedback, under U.S. History, Civil Rights Movement, U.S. History Standard number 73 says, examine the decision and impacts of Brown versus Board of Education of Topeka on the desegregation of schools such as Scarborough 85, Clinton 12, and Little Rock 9. So it has been included in the revised standards, and this feedback round provides an opportunity for the public to give additional feedback about keeping this as a U.S. history standard.
Thank you. Comments?
I'm Rose Weaver. I'm with the Scarborough Community Alumni Association, and also I'm with the NAACP Education Committee. And all I want to say is you all are on top of it, because I just sent that resolution to you all this afternoon, but I wasn't for sure I was going to make it because I have another hat that I wear. But your approval of it will certainly influence Anderson County Board of Education to approve it as well. And I just want to thank you. This is going to move this even further with your support. And I want to say thank you for supporting everything so far that we've been trying to move it for the Scarborough 85. I really appreciate all that the Oak Ridge Board of Education and the teachers and Dr. Williams is doing to push everything forward for this. Thank you.
Thank you. Just might mention, for clarification, as I was looking over this earlier today, you had Andy McCamey listed as the chair of the Anderson County.
Is that not so, or is it?
That is not correct.
Okay.
It's Scott Gillen Waters.
Okay,
Is
thank
the
you.
chair of the Anderson County Board of Education.
Okay, then, because I would be asking for the wrong person. Okay. Scott Gillen,
Gillen Waters.
okay, all right. Thank you very
Uh-huh.
much.
Thank you. Comments or questions from the board or anyone else? Hearing none, the motion on the floor is approval of the resolution in support of the addition of the Scarborough 85 history inclusion in the current revision of Tennessee Social Studies standards. Please cast your vote. Motion is approved unanimously. Moving on to item B, FY '23 tenure status for eligible staff members. Dr. Borchers.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of tenure status for the eligible staff members.
I heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I hear a motion? Motion made by Dr. Hartman, seconded by Ms. Webb. Dr. Borchers.
Well, this is for FY '23, and we have 23 teachers eligible that we're recommending for tenure this evening. And we've got a few here in the audience, I believe. And this is always a great night for those people that have earned this right to be on this list and be considered by the board.
Comments or questions from the board? Let's recognize, if we can, those who here. I'm not sure who's here and who isn't here. For those of you who are here, we appreciate you coming. I know this wasn't a requirement, but you need to go back and say, golly, you should have been there last night. That Board of Education really jumped on those that weren't here for not being here. Just kind of stir them up a little bit. But we do appreciate you being here, and we are thankful for what you do. Receiving tenure is not quite as easy as it was some years ago. So we know what you've gone through to achieve this, and we're very proud of you for doing that. Again, thank you what you do for the Oak Ridge Schools. So who have we got here? How do we figure that
I think
out?
if we have them stand, give them a round of
I might
applause.
ask we have them stand, have
Yeah.
them come to the mic and introduce themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Tell us where they work.
Yep.
yeah. If you just come to the mic and introduce yourselves and tell us where you work.
Hi, I'm Liz Reams. I'm the band director at Robertsville Middle School.
Don't go away.
Hey, my name's John Pirtle. I'm the art teacher at Glenwood Elementary.
Let's help the board recognize these outstanding educators. And you don't have to make any speeches, and you don't have to stay for the rest of the board meeting. But thank you for coming tonight. So the motion on the floor is approval of tenure for those eligible. Please cast your vote. Motion passes unanimously. Item C is the addition of a 1.0 math teacher, head football coach at Oak Ridge High School. Dr. Borchers.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of the addition of a 1.0 math teacher / head football coach at Oak Ridge High School effective March 1, 2023.
Per the superintendent's recommendation, do I hear a motion? Motion made by Ms. Webb, seconded by Dr. Hartman. Dr. Borchers.
Coach Rang will be our new football coach, and I think having him here on March 1st will allow him to prepare for the fall 2023 season, running spring football practice, assisting with the math department, and building relationship with staff, students, and communities. So we're excited to have him on board starting March 1st.
Comments or questions from the board? I think this is worth mentioning. I had an opportunity to meet with Coach one day when he was here, and just talking in general about a number of things. And we were talking about a date for him to come on board, and Dr. Borchers, Mr. Lay, myself, Coach Gaddis were in the principal's office at Oak Ridge High School. Did I leave somebody else out that was there? I think that's it. And we're just talking about general things, and we said, well, the board has to approve it, and you have to get release from your board to do that. And we said we meet on the 27th of February, and he said, well, that'll be good timing because it will give me a month to get back and work with my geometry students who need assistance to get to the point to be successful in their testing. Well, that struck a chord with me when he said that, and I think that shows you the type of individual that we're getting. One who's going to be not only concerned about his athletes out on the football field, but concerned about his students in the classroom as well. So I'm looking forward to successes both on the gridiron and in the classroom as well. So, please cast your vote. Motion passes unanimously. Item D, FY24 preschool Head Start and VPK selection criteria. Dr. Borchers.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of the FY24 preschool Head Start and VPK selection criteria.
For the superintendent's recommendation, do I hear a motion? Motion made by Dr. Hartman, seconded by Ms. Webb. Dr. Borchers.
As the board can see, attached to this agenda item is the selection criteria that were developed in collaboration with Anderson County Head Start and our preschool policy committee. These documents lay out the criteria with which we select and qualify students for Head Start and voluntary pre-K programs. This also assists in creating a wait list prioritized by level of need for both programs. And I should say this item and the next two items are things the board sees on a yearly basis.
Comments or questions? Hearing none, please cast your vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is item E, FY24 preschool Head Start training and technical assistance plan. Dr. Borchers.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of the FY24 preschool Head Start training and technical assistance plan.
For the superintendent's recommendation, do I hear a motion? Motion made by Ms. Webb, seconded by Dr. Hartman. Dr. Borchers.
Again, and I should mention that Ms. Downard is here if there are any tough questions about these three items, but as you can see here, this plan lays out how $8,846 of the training and technical assistance grant will be utilized by the program throughout the 23-24 school year. Items specified in the plan are based on results from the community assessment, which we've talked about previously, and self-assessment, and support the Head Start grant broad goals.
Comments or questions? Is all of this money in that particular grant federal money? You know why I asked that. Other comments or questions? Hearing none, please cast your vote. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item F, FY24 preschool Head Start continuation grant. Dr. Borchers.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of the FY24 preschool Head Start continuation grant.
Heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I hear a motion? Motion made by Dr. Hartman, seconded by Ms. Webb. Dr. Borchers.
As Ms. Downard's memo to the board states, the amount requested in this grant is $906,379. $897 and $533 are the main grant, and then with the other technical and technical assistant grant totals that $906,379. And this grant provides the funding for 118 3- and 4-year-old students.
Comments or questions? For those who don't know why I asked that question a minute ago, the Speaker of the House has made it known that he is interested in doing away with any federal funding that would come to the schools and, in his opinion, could be made up by state funding. I'm not going to get on my soapbox about that, but if you have an opportunity to speak on that behalf, the one issue is anytime you take something away and you say, well, the state's going to make it up, the reliability of that happening is probably not as great as it is said to be. So, in my opinion, that's not something we want to see happen. I think it would be detrimental to particularly these programs if that were to happen. So we'll stay on top of that. Hopefully it won't get any traction, but we'll stay on top of it just to make sure. Okay, please cast your vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next to item G, Board Policy 1.106, Code of Ethics. This is a first and second reading. Dr. Borchers.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of Board Policy 1.106, Code of Ethics.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I hear a motion? Motion made by Ms. Webb, seconded by Dr. Hartman. Dr. Borchers.
As the board knows, we have a policy subscription with TSBA, and they frequently review these existing policies and provide clarity and alignment with state law. And due to the increased questions around state ethics, TSBA has revised Model Policy 1.106 on ethics to focus solely on the requirements of TCA 8-17-103 and placed information on conflicts of interest in Model Policy 1.107, which we'll talk about after this one. By separating these topics and updating the language, TSBA hopes this helps clarify the requirement for board members. So for this particular policy, it's been revised to focus, as I said, solely on prohibitions against accepting items intended to influence a board member's vote and how to handle ethics complaints.
Comments or questions? Hearing none, please cast your vote. Motion passes unanimously. Item H is also a first and second reading on Board Policy 1.107, Board Member Conflict of Interest. Dr. Borchers.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of Board Policy 1.107, Board Member Conflict of Interest.
Heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I hear a motion? Motion made by Dr. Hartman, seconded by Ms. Webb. Dr. Borchers.
Again, to help clarify conflicts of interest, they've placed this information in a separate policy, a new model policy numbered 1.107. This information aligns with TCA 12-4-10A, which defines conflicts of interest for school board members.
Comments or questions? Hearing none, please cast your vote. Motion passes unanimously. Moving next to item I is purchase of welding lab equipment. Dr. Borchers.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of the purchase of welding lab equipment from Holston Gases in the amount of $271,370.30.
Heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I hear a motion? Motion made by Ms. Webb, seconded by Dr. Hartman. Dr. Borchers.
Just very excited about this. Obviously, this is part of our innovation grant that we're going to update our welding room with this equipment. You will see there was one bid that was lower than the one we're accepting, but that bid did not meet the bid qualifications, so it was thrown out.
Does this addition of this equipment calls for the need, and we talked about this on our visit to Oak Ridge High School, to reconfigure that area of the welding area?
Yeah, we'll have some reconfigurations. If you want more details, Dr. Cross is here, but we'll also have some ventilation improvements as well, because that's been somewhat of an issue down there. So new equipment, new bays, pretty much new everything. But yeah, we'll have some pretty good construction work in that lab, but it should bring it up to speed very quickly. Dr. Cross, any other additional comments?
Yeah, basically air quality will improve. We have the snorkels on every single tube. They have a system that you can also use an HVAC with these snorkels. So the air quality is top priority, along with the standards in the schools that we're going to be able to align with TCAP Knoxville. So we're making this look like TCAP Knoxville lab, because we are a TCAP Knoxville lab as well. Well, we were one here today. We want students to have an aligned situation during the school year. To start with the walk in June, and then however long it takes, and then we'll be ready by fall.
Please cast your vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next, item J is the purchase of network refresh. Dr. Borchers.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend the purchase of the network refresh from Presidio and the installation of equipment from Encore Technologies. The total cost of the district after E-rate grant funding is $324,215.96.
Per the superintendent's recommendation, do I hear a motion? Motion made by Dr. Hartman, seconded by Ms. Webb. Dr. Borchers.
Mr. Kofer cannot be here tonight. I almost wish he could be here tonight so we could hear his explanation of everything that is entailed in this. But we do have some tech folks here if we need to get into the details. But most of you have been to the data room, so this is a fix and an upgrade of that room and the servers there and the connections out to the school. We can get into a lot of how this helps us prevent cyber attacks and things like that. But if you do have more details, Jeremy could actually answer those questions for you. But this is something, and you'll see the grand cost of this is about $831,000, but with E-rate, we pay the $324,000. So this is a good deal for the district.
And to follow Ms. Webb's question, what's our timetable on this?
It looks like the lead time on some of the equipment is up to 200 days. So depending on when the purchase was made, between July 1, we hope to have it in by December, and it will be installed sometime the following month.
They're waving at me back there. Let me remind you all to go to the microphone. That's okay. That's okay. We're good. Any other questions?
That's a good question, guys. You have
It's
Dr.
this
Williams?
particular purchase is contingent on two things. One is our application for E-rate approval, and the other is a budget approval for the next fiscal year. So we wouldn't be able to purchase until our budget is approved.
Questions? All right, please cast your vote. Motion passes unanimously. Item K, approval of copier lease and service agreement. Dr. Borchers.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of the copier lease in the amount of $71,731.08 and the service agreement in the amount of approximately $79,000 from CentraWorks.
Heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I hear a motion? Motion made by Ms. Webb, seconded by Dr. Hartman. Dr. Borchers.
This is a 12-month agreement. We can do up to 5 years, but we're not doing that this evening. This lease will update all district copiers. So we have the lease for the copiers and then the price cost for what we think will be a historical average of what we spent every year, around that $79,000 range.
are the items that we have in the schools, the printers and so forth, included in all this?
Yeah, I think they're all part of that. Jeremy, can you answer that question?
Well, now I'm gonna make you come to the microphone now, Jeremy. I don't want Travis frowning at me anymore back there.
Oh, no worries. This would be for the multifunction devices. So when you think of this refresh, these would be the big copiers you see in the schools. And generally, they have a primary and a secondary, black and white and a color. So these would be the big devices, not what you would consider a desktop printer.
Okay. Any other questions while he's here? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Please cast your vote. Motion passes unanimously. We move next to items for information. First, attendance and enrollment reports. Mr. Lay.
Yes, sir. I'm always looking for good news, so was very disappointed in our 4th reporting period with attendance, but if you look at the 5th reporting period, every school did better. We had fewer student absences. So anyway, so hopefully it'd be nice to have a trend continue to go downward and us improve our attendance. So that's that. And if you look at our numbers and compare, number one, our attendance or our enrollment at this time in comparison to the end of the past school year, we are up 90 students. We've grown 90 students, but you can actually add the 24 to that. And if you look at basically, we lost 24 12th grade students this past reporting period, but those were your students who graduated, seniors who graduated early. So even though the number is 90, you can actually add the 24 to that, and we're basically still 114 students larger than we were when we ended school for the 21-22 school year. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Are we still seeing enrollment? at any-
Increases?
Hmm?
We are, and that's what we've talked about. It's going to be interesting to get to the 23-24 school year, see where we're at really July, August, September. We have continued to grow and see growth in our enrollment. If you look at Linden compared to this past school year, they have grown by 45 students. The high school has grown by 73 students, but you can really add the 24 to that, and we'll just round it at 100. So those are the two schools where we've seen the most growth. The other schools, I mean, if you look at, for instance, Willowbrook, they've grown by 4 students. Woodland has grown by 8 students. Jefferson is down 15 students. Robertsville's up by 8. So we've not seen the fast growth that we saw a year ago. It looks like it has leveled off some. So, so one could say we don't have the urgency we had a year ago, which would be incorrect because our buildings are slowly filling up. So we cannot withstand the growth that we had a year ago. So if you look at Linden, they are virtually, if we continue the growth pattern we have here, basically when school starts in July, Linden will likely be at capacity. Willowbrook will not be far behind. Glenwood will have some growth. Our middle schools can have a little bit of growth, but I mean, we're nearing capacity in all of our buildings. So we'll continue to monitor, but it does appear it has slowed.
Any other questions? Okay, moving on, next would be the financial report. Are there any questions from that report? Moving on to items for discussion. There is no old business or new business and communications. Would remind the board that this Wednesday, the board will be visiting Secret City Academy at 8:30. Then on March the 8th, there will be a visit with our transportation provider. That visit will take place in here. in this room, also at 8:30. Then also on the 8th at 1 p.m. is the dedication for the new Ben Martin track at Oak Ridge High School. And then on March the 27th will be our next board meeting, and that board meeting is going to begin at 4 p.m. Still correct on that?
Yep.
On the 27th, we'll begin at 4 p.m. There are a lot of activities taking place in our schools, from maskers, productions, athletic events, just all kinds of things going on. We've got spring break coming up and intercession coming up, so we'll be kind of in flux for a little bit, but we're not shutting the doors during that time by any means. So we appreciate all that you all do for all of our students every day. The opportunities that are provided are just unbelievable. I was telling Dr. Borchers earlier today, I was in credit union, Y12 Credit Union the other day. I had on my Oak Ridge Schools pen, and the lady that was helping me said, "What is that pen?" And I said, "Well, that's Oak Ridge Schools." And she said, "Well, are you related or associated with the schools?" And I said, "Yes, I'm chairman of the Board of Education." Well, she just went off at that point in time. She said, "We live in Kingston." She said, "Our son, we have moved him to Oak Ridge High School where he is a sophomore." She said, "We are so happy to be paying tuition that our son has turned the corner since his enrollment at Oak Ridge High School. He's been involved in robotics, the programs that he has accessibility to." She said, "When he comes home at night, believe it or not, we talk about things that he's doing in school, and he wants to talk about them." And I said, "Could you come to a board meeting and talk about that?" But those are great things to hear, and that's just one small example of things that are going on that are really good in our schools, and we appreciate it. So thank each of you for being here tonight. Stay safe, and we're adjourned.